Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pet Food Puzzle Guy. Your cat has chronic kidney disease, or one of your friends do. Somebody you know probably does, because it's one of the most common age-related diseases for cats over the age of 7. Cats can get it earlier, tragically, but generally it tends to be an age-related disease. And I can show you here that obviously the kidneys are very important. And the interesting thing about kidneys is that as their function is deteriorating away, cats just don't show any signs or symptoms. And it can be anywhere from 2/3 to 3/4 of the kidney function is gone, never to return, before a cat owner is actually going to see symptoms. And those symptoms, pretty much, I don't want to play veterinarian here, but your cat starts drinking a lot. They start losing weight. Maybe their skin and coat doesn't look very good anymore. They lose their appetite, which of course is worsening their weight loss. Things like that. Maybe big puddles of urine in the litter box, even though they're drinking a lot, they're peeing a lot, and ironically they're going into dehydration, which is making them feel terrible. The toxins in their blood are increasing more and more, to the point metabolic acidosis would make them feel pretty awful, which again, now they don't want to eat. So just this vicious cycle. And again, it's very insidious disease that it's going on while most cat owners are unaware. And I want you to, if you remember anything from the beginning of this video, that's it. It could be years of deterioration of those kidneys over time, and you are not seeing a single sign. BUN and creatinine levels may come back normal. It's just there's nothing showing any issues until all of a sudden the signs are there, and now we run some tests and 3/4 of the kidneys are gone. So not only is it crucial to be thinking about how do I manage current kidney disease, but most of you are going to have more than one cat, especially in your lifetime. Think about, how do I reduce the risk of this disease right from day one, right from the time that kitten is done being a kitten and moves into adulthood? How do I feed her or him to help reduce the risk of this chronic disease that is so common? And as cats are living longer, we're seeing more of it. It's almost not a question of if you're going to have kidney disease, but if you've got a few cats in your house right now, the question is, when is the kidney disease going to occur? So keep up with the blood work every year after the age of 7, but think about diet, and that's what we're going to talk about now. But when it comes to these conditions, so we're going to make this Leo this time. And Leo, let's say he's 15 years old and he has kidney disease. He's been diagnosed. So we know he's losing weight, one, because he's 15 years old. It's called sarcopenia. It's weight loss due to aging. If you're a human being out there watching this and you're over the age of 30, well, welcome to the world of sarcopenia. You are losing muscle mass. But good news is you can actually go to the gym, you can go for walks, you can rebuild that muscle, okay? Cachexia is the muscle wasting that poor Leo is going through as well. That is when disease is causing muscle loss, and that muscle loss is never coming back. So he's 15 years old, so he's got sarcopenia going on, he's got cachexia going on, and he feels horrible, so he's not eating, so you can see the vicious cycle there. So number one priority is getting him to eat. And I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to mention the brand right away, I'll show it at the end, but there's a renal diet out there. The veterinary diets, there's about 3 or so for renal disease, for kidney disease, for cats. And you've got to get your cat eating. He's got to eat one of these, okay? Now the one that I prefer, that the cool things about it, I always look for innovation. Who's really doing the most research, coming up with newest innovation? And that's of course constant in the diet world. So we got to get him eating. So the diet that I was going to do my Dr. Glenn impersonation, but I was just lazy today and didn't want to change into my Dr. Glenn outfit. So you're stuck with me. But we got to get him eating. And what this renal diet did, every renal diet up until this point, they taste tested it on normal healthy cats. Well, you and I, when we feel healthy and happy, we could eat just about anything, all the stuff we like. But when we have the flu, something like that, now there's certain foods you just don't want to eat. So they decided we have to taste test different ingredients to see what a cat in uremic crisis, in other words, it's really battling kidney issues, what actually would they eat. And so they did that. And then they looked at shape and odor, because odor has a lot to do, again, if you have the flu, there's certain smells you don't want to be around, that kind of thing. And lastly was the combination. I found this really interesting. They looked at, here's all the ingredients that a cat in uremic crisis would eat, and that's critical. But when they combine them with other ingredients, the cats wouldn't eat them. Best example I can give you is if you like ketchup on your hot dogs and hamburgers during the barbecues. We're getting into barbecue season now. That's great. Okay, I like a little bit of ketchup, but please don't put ketchup on scrambled eggs if I'm in the same room. That just grosses me out. Okay, I love ketchup, I love scrambled eggs, but I sure don't like ketchup on my scrambled eggs. Okay, that's exactly what they learned from doing all this research. So why did they do all that? They did all that to find out how can we make a dry food, even a renal dry food for cats, that they would eat. We know they eat canned pretty well, but as far as dry, that was a real challenge, because some cats insist on dry, some owners insist on dry. So it was called EAT technology, EAT, Enhanced Appetite Trigger, and basically it was just about 4 years of research looking at ingredients to make sure the combination would allow that cat to want to consume those calories. And the studies they did afterwards showed that even compared to other renal diets, the cats consumed up to like 12-13% more calories per day, not because it was more calorie dense, but because they were willing to eat it. So that was really critical. And of course, so the cat owners, that's the first thing they want to see, because they know if that cat's not eating, things are not going well. So that's important that they're eating. The other is we have to get their metabolic acidosis down, and that's what a renal diet will do, to get them feeling better again, so that they'll eat, get them feeling back to normal. But we need to slow down the workload on those kidneys. And cats are obligate carnivores. I hear that all the time when I'm looking at all these videos on YouTube. Yes, absolutely they are. They need meat for a few reasons. For vitamin A, taurine is an amino acid found in only in meat protein, not in plant protein. So that's another reason that they can't even store it like people and dogs can. So they need it every day in their diet. So there's a few other, linoleic acid, a few other things that really prove this guy is a true carnivore, a meat eater, and a dog is not. We can even make a vegetarian diet for a dog. You sure would not want to try that for a cat. But the mistake that a lot of people out there will say is, oh, don't feed plant protein to this cat. Well, maybe you could argue that back when Leo had healthy kidneys. Now that he's hurting, now we have to look at what are the options, whether it's egg, whether it's plant, a lot of different protein sources. What can we do to provide amino acids? This is what he needs, especially with that muscle wasting. But every time we add protein, we're adding phosphorus, which is really tearing up those kidneys. Okay, we're worsening the workload. This is a good argument against that whole meat, what do they call it? Biological appropriate diet. Biologically appropriate. There you go. Maybe I should edit that out. But biologically appropriate. They're in the wild. The cat would just eat meat. You wouldn't be getting corn or anything else. Absolutely true. Okay, but this is different. Nature. We just left nature about a year ago, because now, a year ago, around 7. Leo is now 15. So about 8 years ago, we left nature and got into geriatrics, which does not exist in nature. So the board certified nutritionists that formulated this diet are looking at all the different sources of protein to provide amino acids, which is important to Leo, especially now, but we've got to keep that workload down. And just using meat protein alone is not going to do it. It's going to overtax those kidneys. And that biologically appropriate religion, as I call it, it's not science, it's pseudoscience. That's actually going to harm Leo now. We have to ignore nature and now move into science, because Leo would not be alive at 15 years in the wild. Does that make any sense? The cool thing is, you're still stuck with the catch-22 of muscle wasting needs protein. Muscles need protein. Well, we can't give protein because of the kidneys, okay? What Hills did, and this actually is a Hills pet nutrition product or a prescription diet product, KD. It's the most recently innovated KD from a few years ago now, before COVID. But they said, okay, how do we solve this dilemma of we need protein, but we can't give Leo protein because of his kidneys? What they've done, and I kind of mentioned amino acids with taurine. Protein is made up of amino acids. When you feed that meat, when you feed that corn, or you feed that egg, you're feeding amino acids, okay, the different combinations. So what Hills did was said, you know what, we're going to take broken down amino acids, we're going to break them down already and feed them to Leo. That we're going to supplement it into the diet. So Leo actually is getting, on KD, is getting 160% of the daily requirement of amino acids that a normal cat would get. Okay, so in renal failure, he needs less protein, but even more amino acids. We're now doing that. Okay, you see the difference there? So by adding the amino acids, we're actually helping the cachexia as best we can, the sarcopenia, helping to maintain the muscle mass that Leo has. We need to control that. But we also, more critically, is to control the phosphorus and the workload on those kidneys. So by supplementing the amino acids, that's something that Hills did in their renal diet. No one else has done that in their renal diets. There's no other aspect of dietary management out there that is saying, let's solve this problem with, we need protein, but we can't feed protein, well, but we can feed amino acids. And so when you look at the essential amino acids, and was it 13, I think, for cats and 11 for people and dogs, the essential amino acids mean if you have these essential ones, you can combine and make the others. Leo is getting 160%, as I said, of those essential amino acids, critical to managing kidney disease. And again, we're getting that metabolic acidosis down, the toxins in his blood, so he starts feeling better, he starts eating. We have a diet proven with the ingredients that a renal cat will eat. Show me the evidence has always been my way in the last 34 years of looking at diets. The evidence doesn't really indicate that dry food is bad compared to canned, but personally, from what I know, the evidence I've seen, the studies out there just on urine output and everything else, I have to believe that canned is better for a renal patient and also better for a urinary patient. So for you cat owners, and I know there's Ed and a few of you out there that are you're probably cheering, yes, yes. I agree. When it comes to renal issues and urinary issues, I just can't see why canned is not better. Now, it costs you, the cat owner, about 3 times as much, and we're basically giving you the same nutrients, a food company that gives you dry versus canned, but you're getting a lot more moisture in that can. And I had a slide years ago when I was still working that showed not so much that cats drank more when they ate, they drank more when they ate dry food, which was the idea, and with canned food they just got the moisture in the can, a lot more. But when you looked at the urine output, which again is critical for both the renal patient and the urinary patient especially, the urine output was like 3 times, 4 times higher in the canned cat diet than in the dry. So that study pretty much, and that's an old study, it was back in the 80s, I think, that really kind of showed me, boy, that canned food just makes sense. Not for every healthy cat, for sure. I'm not on that bandwagon. Okay, so how does this diet work? Is it the fancy ingredients, special ingredients that the nutritionists put in this food? What is it that makes this diet do all those things I said? You know, buffer the toxins in the blood, reduce the workload on the kidneys, entice the cat to want to start eating again. How is all that done? Okay, well, it's done with nutrients, okay? Not ingredients, nutrients. So here you go, I'll put it up here. We're gonna offer that cat 6.8 grams of protein per 100 kcals of energy. Okay, that's how nutritionists measure stuff, not by the guaranteed analysis. So 6.8 grams of protein, and just to give you a comparison, Science Diet is at 8, and I went through and just figured I'd pick a popular cat food that's out there, another canned cat food, and compare it. It's at 9.8. So remember this now, we're feeding 6.8 grams of protein. I can tell you by AFCO standards, by NRC standards, just by the generations of cats that have been fed KD, they do fine on 6.8 grams of protein. That is not deficient. So if you happen to have one of those cats that's prone to kidney disease and has been feeding, you've been feeding 9.8 grams of protein, guess what? You were feeding extra protein that those kidneys had to break down and filter, that had no benefit to the cat. Okay, once they get enough protein, they're done. You don't get extra credit for extra protein, but yet the industry now keeps telling you your cat needs more and more and more and more protein. It's a lie. It's just marketing. Allows them to use cheap meat sources to show, look at this high protein. Whenever I say high protein, I would never feed a food that says high protein, because to me that means excessive protein that the animal doesn't need. And if it's that, 2 in 5 cats that's going to have kidney disease, you're just making that worse by feeding that high protein. So instead of feeding 9.8, we're feeding 6.8. Okay, especially now that we actually have compromised kidneys. More importantly, look at the calcium and phosphorus. Again, I'll put it up here. 173 milligrams of calcium, 110 of phosphorus. Now I know these numbers, this isn't the way you compare foods normally. You just hear people tell you about good ingredients and bad ingredients. That's all BS. That's all marketing. Has nothing to do with the nutrition of your cat, especially now that she has kidney disease. Okay, so 173 milligrams versus 110 in phosphorus. Again, let's go back to that typical food that's real popular on the internet. 371 milligrams of calcium and 337 grams of phosphorus. So for all those years that the cat seemed fine and was doing fine, you were feeding what? Basically 3 times the amount of phosphorus in that diet to that cat that is prone to kidney disease. But you didn't know it till 3/4 of the kidneys are gone. So you tell me which food was designed to help reduce the risk of kidney disease for your cat, which is I'm sure what you want, versus which company was giving you attractive ingredients that look good with high protein, because cats are true carnivores, or obligate carnivores, they love to say. And now she has kidney disease and has been fed 3 times the amount of phosphorus her entire life. And the real scam, the real thing that pisses me off about this is they're giving you an ingredient panel that looks so darn good, but yet that meat source has to have bone, hair, hoof, feathers, chicken lips, something in it driving that calcium and phosphorus level up. When you see the level 3 times higher, it doesn't mean they spent money adding calcium and phosphorus. It means they weren't going to spend the money to use pure meat sources that didn't have all that junk in it. So the idea of getting those minerals lowered and controlled is very expensive. Just read this morning a thread, why are prescription diets so expensive when they're no better, the ingredients are no better than other foods? Yeah, the ingredients are better. Just look at the mineral content and you'll know, but no one looks at minerals anymore. And that's why cats get kidney disease. Lastly, sodium levels. Now again, sodium levels probably don't matter to a healthy young cat, even an old healthy cat. Once they have kidney disease, sodium, the studies are out there that prove this, is very detrimental. So you go from 57 milligrams in this kidney diet, you were feeding 170 milligrams in that popular cat food. So what is that? That's, again, 3 times higher, okay? Not once or twice, but for years, and now your cat is 75% shot, her kidneys. And boy, don't you wish you'd actually fed something that was nutritionally appropriate for her, but no, you wanted biologically appropriate, so you got to feed high protein at 40% or whatever crazy number the marketers have convinced you about, and it didn't help your cat, it hurt your cat. Now I'm getting a little, it just frustrates me to see how marketing fools people. So you see how dietary management works. Do you see how we do that? That's how we keep your cat healthy. That's how we manage kidney disease. You know, there's a saying among the, I shouldn't say this because it sounds callous, but it's so true. We want your cat to die with kidney disease, not from kidney disease. You know, I'd rather your cat just one morning finally at the age of 22 not wake up. You know, as horrible as that is, I know, but we don't want kidney disease to take your cat early. Okay, we really don't. Anybody that's been involved in nutrition, and when I say we, it's just me now. I don't work for anybody anymore, but it's still in my blood, I guess. I want that cat around forever for you, the same way I want my dogs around forever. Nutrition helps give us that, but not if you're going to buy into the darn marketing out there and play this ingredient game that means nothing. It means nothing. If anything, it's harming animals, because I'm Mr. Food Company and I have no credentials and I have no scruples. I'll just go pick ingredients that sound good, throw them in a can, and charge you twice as much, and you'll buy it. That's what's so frustrating. Okay, so here's the product that I was talking about. Hill's Prescription Diet KD, or Feline KD. There is a canine as well. This is the canned. Again, I prefer canned for the moisture. I think a lot of people agree with me, but there is also a dry as well. You know, I wish, here I'll put up the ingredient panel for the can. Couple things real quick. You'll see water is the first ingredient. I've kind of just discovered that you guys probably know that the dry food is manipulated to get chicken as the first ingredient. Now canned food is doing the same thing. They're using broth and they're splitting up ingredients, anything they can do to get chicken to be the first ingredient. So this is still an honest ingredient panel that has not put chicken as the first ingredient, but I'm sure Hills will change it at some point, because you know you have to, because as a consumer you guys are going to demand that chicken be the first ingredient, not water, so that it'll be manipulated. That's the way it is these days. That does not change the nutritional value of the food. Again, the ingredients are not what's important, it's the nutrients that it provides. So I wish, instead of ingredient panels, I wish they'd show something like this. This is just a handful of the research that has been done on this diet, proving the efficacy of these claims as far as how well it helps these renal patients. And you don't need studies. Well, you need studies, but now for somebody like me that was walking in and out of vet clinics all day long for 34 years, we have hundreds and hundreds, actually thousands, of dogs and cats that have thrived on KD because of the nutrient profile, because of the research that goes into that diet. So, you know, I'm kind of putting my Hills hat on today, but I tell you what, I'm just motivated by, I go out there, I'm just talking about KD today. I could go and show you 6 videos out there about how horrible feline KD is. It's just horrible. It's just crap. It doesn't work. It's awful. It's not biologically appropriate. On and on and on and on. To me, that should be illegal. It really should be, because we can prove, we have evidence, clinical evidence to prove this diet is amazing, but yet people can get on the internet and say all kinds of ridiculous stuff. I gotta believe they're sincere, but I don't understand how they can be sincere unless they live in a cave and literally know nothing about these diets and how effective they are. So that's why I lose my patience. Sorry about that. But anyway, that's it for renal diets. If your cat doesn't eat KD, it does happen. I know KD comes in different flavors now, but Purina makes NF, which is a renal diet that is very good. It doesn't have some of the innovations that KD has, but it's another option. Royal Canin has a couple of renal diets. So please, 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 if you have a renal cat, don't listen to those videos that are telling you we can do it naturally and we can do it with real ingredients, all this other BS. You know, that there's 3 companies that have more peer-reviewed studies that would fill this room here on their diets. Those are the ones you want to be using. Okay, so God bless. I hope your cats live forever, and kidney disease is just something you hear about and don't have to experience yourself. Take care. Bye.